Well, I've got a mess. As you can see behind me, there are bikes everywhere. There's some, sawhorses back here. And I built a wall. By the way, welcome back to the Beginning Farmer channel. The last video I released was just a couple days ago, but it took place a few weeks ago, so there has been a lot going on. One of the most important of which is this wall. On the other side of it, there are some fair animals that are being very loud right now. This is what this wall is all about, is this space right here is where the walk-in freezer is going to go. And let me tell you this, today they are coming to move the walk-in freezer from its place just out there in the weeds to this place right here so that then we can hook it up and then we can get going. Oh my goodness, there is so much going on. I don't know if you can tell, but this wall is 12 feet by 8 feet. And the reason that it is only 12 foot by 8 feet is because that's all the bigger it needed to be in order to put the freezer in. The reason I didn't do it any longer or taller is because this 12 foot by 8 foot wall with 3/8 plywood and 10 2x6s, that's what I bought. It costs like $380. Oh, it is crazy. Here's what I am going to do right now though. I'm going to take this brown caulk. There's some seams there. I'm going to caulk those. On the back side, eventually what I'll do is come in with insulation and Tyvek, house wraps type of stuff, and seal that whole area off so that we don't have anything getting from the animal side to this side. But for now, I'm just trying to get a freezer in and going so we can complete a whole bunch of other projects. I'm so excited, I'm just having a hard time talking. I'm not very good at caulking. Usually my wife does all the caulking. You know what they always say, spare the caulk, spoil the job. Duct tape, caulk, same thing. Well, I didn't get enough caulk. I've got one more seam that I have to do, so I'm just gonna go on a hunt for whatever caulk I can find on this farm. So I've got everything caulked that I need to have caulked. The freezer is going to come to approximately right here, and then we'll be able to back the trailer in here in the morning, load up out of the freezer, which again, I cannot tell you how excited I am to be able to load out of the walk-in freezer, especially with those little coolers that I'm using right now. That will allow me to pack everything the night before and then just throw those little coolers in with their ice packs into the trailer. It'll save me at least 30 minutes in the morning, which means 30 minutes of extra sleep. I want to show you something though. Let me introduce you to Jake. This is Jake right here. And Jake is our newest Great Pyrenees puppy. Jake is, I don't know, 4 months old, 5 months old, something like that. Yeah, like 5 months old. Almost 6 months old, 5 months old. I have no idea. Jake is older. And Jake is new to our farm, and the reason that Jake is here, well, it's actually a long story and a sad story. And if you've been watching the videos, you knew we had a dog named Jack. Jake is to replace Jack. Jack was original to the farm. In the first spring, summer of our farm, we'd lived on the farm since October, and then we moved in. And in the next spring, summer, we got Jack. And so Jack was 12 years old, which is pretty old for a Pyrenees, and Jack passed away this winter. Unfortunately, Jack was an amazing dog, and it was rough because Jack was our family dog, our family protector. Jake is that new family protector. So we have Jake, who is the new pup on the farm, and we have Clara, who also is getting older. Clara's almost 10 or a little over 10 years old now. So I just wanted to introduce you to Jake. You'll be seeing Jake around. Jake's getting used to the kids. Jake's kind of coming out, getting chained up. We're trying to figure out, let Jake know what Jake's boundaries are, let Jake know who Jake is supposed to protect, which is the family. And so Jake's over here at the playground right now where the kids are. Jake is a good, calm dog. So that's Jake. There is a lot of other stuff. I just feel like I need to like walk around and tell you about everything that's going on, because there's been a lot going on. I don't have time to do all of that today though, because we've got that freezer move coming. So I will show you one thing that's kind of wild considering that it is May 26th. The second crazy update that I have is that I still have the cattle and the sheep in the winter lock. They don't really like it, but I had a little bit of hay left, and so I wanted to use the hay. And let me just explain it real quick. The grass looks amazing right now. Those are the ditches, obviously, but out there, the grass looks amazing, and they are gonna get moved out into the grass really soon, probably tomorrow, maybe even this evening. But the reason that I hadn't taken them out yet was because, well, it was just dry and cold here. We had some good rains in March. We actually had some warmth in March, but then April was dry and April was cold, and we were actually in a drought, like the first or second level of drought here in our part of the state of Iowa. As you went further west, they had even worse drought, and the grass was green, it looked good, but it wasn't growing, and I didn't want to stunt the grass to start the year. So I'm about 3 weeks behind where I normally would be for average. You know, sometimes we get out a little sooner, sometimes we get out a little later onto the pastures, but I am glad that I did it, because now I feel confident getting out onto the pastures with the cattle and with the sheep, and we won't be in a tough spot come June and July and August, which I think is what would have happened if we would have been grazing it when we were in that drought period. I just wanted to give you that update. I know that I need to show you what's going on with the animals more often. It's time to get all this stuff cleaned up and put away. We've got a freezer to move in here. What do you guys know about these carpenter bees? I don't know what it is. We built a farm. I don't really know that we had many or any carpenter bees, but in the last 2 or 3 years, the carpenter bees have just gone nuts on our farm. I've got 2 of these 4x4 blocks that I'm going to make into some carpenter bee traps. I've got some instructions over there, but I want to know, what's your trick on getting rid of carpenter bees? I know that they're beneficial. I know that they're pollinators, but I also know that they're like drilling holes in our building. Not a fan of that. We're pretty much ready. We got to move a tractor. There's a Minneapolis Moline M5 right out there. We need to move it. It doesn't have an ignition key right now, so we're gonna have to pull it. I just got a call from the tow truck company. They are on their way out, so I got to move a few rabbit cages that need to be repaired. Better do it fast. They are here. The wrecker, or the rollback, is here. We're gonna try to slide it, and by we I mean I'm counting on them to do everything. Try to put a strap around it, then they're gonna slide it up onto the rollback, which is right over there, and then drive it 100 feet, and yeah. Don't push too far, you got the fence on that other side. I got it. I'd say that went pretty well. We got it loaded onto the trailer. Now we're going to move it 100 steps this way and slide it down in off the trailer. You're good. I mean, if we can back it in a little more and just kind of angle it this way a little. What do you think? Well, I got to pay for their work. It took about an hour. Wasn't too bad. There's a lot of work, like I said, that we're going to have to do on this. But I think that it will work. We are going to move it, looks like about 1.5 feet to the west here. And then this is really all this room we're going to have for this little room on the side. But what I do think we're going to do is take the compressor off of it, put the compressor outside, and then we'll be able to put a loft over the top of this, build a loft out of lumber, and I think that way we can have a little bit more storage out here in this area for stuff that we don't use a ton but we need to keep around. That's my idea. Like I said, I need to go pay them. It's always stressful doing things like this, and now I'm kind of looking at it thinking we've got a bit of a project ahead of us. Hello, Uncle Lauren. Well, I'm ready to do some projects. So I moved the freezer into the shed. And we need to move it around a little bit more just to get it in place with the tractor and stuff, and some straps. And then we need to kind of figure out a way to seal it as best we can. I don't know if you heard that, but that was just me talking to my Uncle Lauren, and I'm kind of bringing him in as an advisor on this project. Not that he knows anything about freezers or anything like that, which I guess he probably knows next to nothing, but he's just got a farmer brain. He's got farmer ingenuity, is the way my wife put it, and that is absolutely true, because we need to figure out some things to make this okay freezer, this fair freezer, this serviceable freezer just a little bit better, so that we have less problems down the road. We keep things as cold as possible in it with as little energy as possible, and from what I've heard talking to like the inspector and things like that, the least amount of condensation as possible. Let me walk you around though and show you what we have in mind. I'm not gonna lie, this freezer right here, it needs a little work. It needs a little work to be in working condition beyond just needing a new compressor that is single phase and not three phase. But it also needs a little work just to make sure that we deal with some of the problems like keeping rodents and bugs and spiders out, and also making sure, as I mentioned earlier, that we keep the condensation out of it, which is a big deal. And so stuff like this corner, they need to be taken care of. But also inside, we need to do some work on the floor so that it is well sealed and better. I don't know if you remember. If I think of it, I'll put a link in the video above my shoulder here, where we put some insulation underneath the cement where this freezer is going to be. So we do have a little insulation under the concrete because that's where you lose a lot of your cold, but we do need do a little bit of insulation work inside the freezer. The floor is a little uneven in places, and I think we can pull it up. My wife thinks we can pull it up, and so she's probably right. We can pull it up, maybe spray foam a little bit where we need to spray foam, and then put the floor back on. In the future, or not in the future, but as part of the building process for this freezer, I do want to show you what we're going to do. So like I said, we're going to slide it a couple feet, maybe 1.5 feet this way, and then about 2.5 feet to the back. And then along this post, from this post right here to wherever the front of the freezer is going to be, we're going to build a 2x4 stick-built wall that goes up to the top of the freezer, and then we'll run some 2x6s across, and we'll put a loft up there. That will give us a couple things. One, it will give us an extra layer of insulation, okay? So we will insulate this wall right here. We'll do the same thing on this side right here, because we're going to build a little being the emphasis, like 4 foot wide office in this area right here. That will allow us to have more insulation on this side. We'll put some insulation along the front with a little bit of wall up to the door on either side, and I think that will help us in the long run keep the cold in and the heat out, the condensation out. The other thing that we're going to do is we'll run rafters across, and we'll put a loft up there where we can put seasonal stuff. All of this seems like a daunting process. Once that gets done, then the next step will be to hire a contractor to put in the overhead doors that we want to put in and really get this whole thing sealed off the way that it needs to be sealed off. Sometimes I wonder what I've got myself into. It is 1:41 right now though, so I do think I'm gonna go inside, eat some lunch with my family. I called my uncle. Well, you heard that. Part of the conversation was the M5. The parts that we needed for that have come in. So that's gonna be coming out in a video soon. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I said it at the beginning, I'll say it again. If you liked the video, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Comment down below. I love reading your comments and communicating with everyone. I think I'm gonna call it good for the video here. I've got a lot of other things running around to do today, so I'll probably just go run around and do that stuff, and we'll make this video all about moving that awesome freezer into the awesome shed that has awesome concrete. We're moving in the right direction, folks. We're moving in the right direction.